What's up YouTube, this is DWS Darius and today I'm bringing you guys a video, and in this video I just want to give you guys a treatment for the ick disease. Now the ick disease is one of the most common diseases in this fish hobby. We all hate it. Now I've learned to have a treatment that's so successful that when I found out that one of my tanks had ick, it didn't even bother me because my treatment is just so effective. So in this video I decided, hey, why not share with you guys. Okay, so one of the things I love about this treatment is just that most of the supplies needed are just things that should be normally found in your fish supplies. I mean, they're things that we use regularly. So first off, you're going to need a heater to get that temperature up, and most fish keepers use heaters. The next thing you're going to need is a siphon to do your water changes, which every fish keeper should have. And lastly, Epsom salt. Now this is my Epsom salt. I have it in a sea salt container, but it really is Epsom salt. I just emptied it and filled it with Epsom salt. Now if you don't have Epsom salt, it's really a good thing to keep because it cures a number of things: ick, bloat, and it's just a nice treatment for many different types of parasites, and it only costs about $3. So yeah, just it's good to keep Epsom salt in your aquarium supplies as well. So those are the three things you need to do this treatment. Okay, so the first step is to pinpoint the problem. So if you see white spots on your fish, don't try to give it the benefit of the doubt or be in denial, because it's best that you notice it right away and attack it right away. Ick is a disease that the longer it is alive in your tank, the stronger it gets. So you have a better chance of curing ick fast when you notice it right away. So I'm showing you guys my 210-gallon monster tank, one of the tanks that I just love the most, and one of the fish in here is showing ick, signs of ick, and that is none other than the most favorite peacock bass. Now if you come closer, it's getting better, but on the top of his fin you can see a few tiny white spots. It was worse. I've been treating him for a couple of days now, so he is getting better, but I'm not sure if you can notice it, but on top of his eye it's just a few white spots. So yeah, he has ick, and I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to say these fish are awesome, I take care of them, they don't have ick. He has the white spots, so I'm going to treat him for ick. Now the next thing to do is understand why. There's no point to treat your tank for ick if the problem that started it is still occurring. So most fish obtain ick from stress, and that glare is just terrible, sorry about that. But the most common reason for ick is stress. Now the dog's interrupting, just everything interrupting. But yeah, the most common reason for ick is stress, and it all makes sense now because when I added my Jaguar cichlid, she was 6 inches, he's 14 inches. He thought she would be a good meal, and that just stressed her out terribly. He was always trying to eat her. Now we pretty much get along, but before that it created a ton of stress for her because he was trying to eat her. So I'm guessing that's what caused the ick to come into the tank. It started from her and now it's on him. So yeah, that's the source of the problem. So now that they both are getting along, I can now focus on the problem. Now if they were still fighting, I would have to remove her so that stress will be gone. But now that I know the problem and the problem is gone, now I can start treating the tank for ick. Okay, so the next step is to raise the temperature. Now as I said before, I've been treating this tank for ick now for a couple of days, so I already raised the temperature, and you can see that the temperature is now at the top of the charts on both sides. I have two heaters to heat this 210-gallon tank, so that's the next thing you want to do. You want to get that temperature to between 86 and 90, depending on how much your fish is willing to handle. If you go above 86 and your fish is looking a little stressed out, just keep it at that 86 mark, because that higher temperature just allows ick to produce faster. It doesn't kill ick, but it makes it come off the fish so that you can kill it with the next step. Okay, so once the temperature of your tank has been raised for maybe a day or two, the next thing that you want to do is bring on the salt. Now, as I said before, I prefer to use Epsom salt, and the reason why is just because it has so many other benefits as well in the fish room. It treats my plants and is a good boost for my plants. It's good for bloat and just many other parasites. So I just love using Epsom salt because I don't only use it for ick treatment, I use it for multiple services. But you can also use different types of salt, like regular pure sea salt or non-iodized, just regular salt, as long as it doesn't have any like additives. Like if you was to use Epsom salt, you don't want Epsom Epsom salt with lavender or Epsom salt with cherry flavor. I've seen that. Stay away from that. You just want to use pure Epsom salt and that will do the job. Now as far as dosing, I'm going to be honest with you. I just estimate how much looks good, but just to be safe, I read up and they recommend 1 teaspoon for every 5 gallons. So that could be just a little basic standard measurement according to how much salt you want to use. Okay, and so once your temperature has been raised and you've treated with salt, the next and probably one of the most important steps is to do your water changes. Now your water changes will actually get the parasite out of your tank. So you want to use a water siphon and you just want to attack that gravel. Attack the substrate, just dig deeply in there to get all of it out, because that's where the rest of the parasite will be, inside the substrate. So yeah, just attack the substrate, do water changes maybe every other day as often as possible, because the more water changes you do, the quicker you get that ick out. Okay YouTube, so that's the steps I've been using to cure ick now for years, and it's always worked. I've always had success. It usually takes me about a week before I can no longer see the white dots on my fish, and I continue the treatment for 1 more week just to be completely sure that the tank is cured. So I recommend doing the same. Even if you see all the spots on your fish completely gone, you want to continue treating for at least a week just to be sure that that disease is out of your tank. Okay, now for the worst case scenario, let's say you went on vacation and came back and your tank is just completely in a worse stage of ick. All your fish are just walking around with like white fur coats because the ick is so strong. There's one product that I do recommend if that is the case. First, I would recommend doing the other treatment because I really don't like using any chemicals in my tanks, especially my planted tanks and my reef tank over there. I would never use a chemical for them. But if you have like a tank like that one down there with no plants, no invertebrates to harm, the product that I do recommend is Cordon Riddick. Now I really don't have to use this because my treatment is always successful, but as I said before, if you ever come to that worst scenario when your tank is just crazy, your fish is just completely covered in white, this is the product that I do recommend because I have used it before in my beginner days with success. Now I've tried many other products. I've tried the little disc that you throw in there, turns the water blue. I've tried Riddick from API and just so many other brands, but this has been the one that does the job great. So yeah, for your worst case scenario, if you do my treatment and you have no success, I recommend this product, about $11, and do the same with mine, only when you add the salt, add that as well. So what you want to do is heat the tank as normal, add the salt, add the Cordon Riddick, and then do your water changes. But that's only for the worst case scenario. Okay, so before I let you guys go, I do want to share with you guys the side effects of my treatment. Now if you were in that worst case scenario and you used the Cordon, you do have to worry about the blue stains all over your tank. The silicone on the sides will stay blue for years. I have a water siphon. I used that product maybe 3 years ago, and that water siphon still has the blue stains in there. Another side effect will be if you have a planted tank and you use heat, it will melt your plants. This tank was just full before, and what was it, a couple of months ago, 6 months ago, I had the ick disease and used the heat treatment, and that killed a lot of my plants. They really couldn't handle the heat. None of the fish died, but the plants really took a toll, so that's another thing to consider. And lastly, your salt treatments, just make sure you don't overdo it. Stick to that 1 teaspoon per 5 gallons if you're a beginner. But yeah, just make sure you don't overdo it because it can be harmful if you overdo it to your invertebrates. But other than that, this has been the treatment that I've used for years, the proven treatment. Let me give you guys some Red Devil action before I let you guys go. And he would go high. Let me see if I could get him out. Yeah, he's not in the mood now. But yeah, that's been my ick treatment for years. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. If you have any questions, feel free to ask below. And let me get this Red Devil out for you. Is he coming out? Is he coming out? I guess not. No Red Devil today. But yeah, that's been a look at my egg treatment.